Hello and welcome to Engine Adventures review of this 2023 GMC Sierra AT4X. What makes the AT4X special is this is the same thing as the Silverado ZR2. So your general AT4 is a Chevy Trail Boss, and this is the Chevy Silverado ZR2. So you get the Multimatic shocks, which are excellent for high-speed off-road. They handle really well at the limits. So once you're topping them out, bottoming them out, they do so very smoothly, very controlled. And of course, the base engine, actually, I believe this might be the only engine on the AT4X, is the 6.2 liter V8, putting out 420 horsepower and 460 foot-pounds of torque. This one is equipped with the rock rail here. I can't remember exactly what they call it, but it's a rock guard, and these mounts are actually just connected to the body, so those don't run under to the frame. They do claim it can hold 50% of the weight of the vehicle just on one rail, and I don't know how they test that, if it's a single point or across the whole thing, but either way, I much prefer frame mounted rails, but these are good, a good addition for, from the factory. If we look at the wheels here, these are 18-inch alloy wheels with 32-inch Goodyear Wrangler Duratrac tires, 275 width, and they're actually pretty good across most terrains when they're new. As these ones wear out, you lose some of this extra siping in the top, and you don't have as good traction in snow and ice. Around front, a few unique things on the AT4X is we have the AT4X badge there right on the front. And this one does have fully functional fog lights. I know you guys kind of joke with me on that, but you can turn off the headlights and only have the fog lights on, so you can actually use them as fog lights. Some vehicles you can't do that with. And then, of course, it's not an off-roader if it doesn't have red tow hooks. The rest of the truck is actually pretty normal as far as GMC Sierras go. So you get your standard mirrors with the lighting here. We saw that Denali Ultimate just a couple weeks ago has the surround view cameras, all the trailer cameras, built-in trailer brake controller. It comes equipped with basically everything. So this one has a couple of options, only the rock rails and like the paint and just a few things. So basically everything you see here is standard. If we come around and look at the bed, same bed as all the others, except for you do get an AT4X logo, and of course being lifted 2 inches, the truck's a little bit higher than the other Sierra 1500s, but you have the AT4X logo. You get the multi-pro tailgate. Since this is the GMC version, it's the multi-pro, and we already checked it, so even with just our recovery hitch thing there in the back, if we open both these tailgates, as this other one drops down, it will hit and could potentially damage that upper tailgate when it hits there. So you can't fold out your step, maybe it'll let me, but you can't fold that out and you stand on that because it's going to dent your tailgate there. And then of course this one is also equipped with the kicker audio system back here. You can connect to it via the USB or auxiliary input, 3.5 millimeter headphone jack, or via Bluetooth, and then play audio from your tailgate here. And if you watch Pickup Truck Plus SUV Talk, you can see some remaining blood from the deer that he put in the back of this thing over a month ago. So it's been a long time. This truck's been washed 5 or 6 times since then, probably, maybe even more than that, and there's still blood coming out of that. So go check out his video if you're interested in seeing how crazy he is and what he did there. Here we have the standard 7-pin plug, but we also get an inside the trailer camera and a rear trailer camera. So you can wire 2 trailer cameras up to there. That, again, standard on this truck. And same corner step here. It does not get the side step that the HDs do right here. There's really not a lot of space there. If you had a normal step instead of the rock guard, you could get on there a little better. But yeah, that's about it for the exterior. So inside, obviously, everything's very nicely appointed. You get a black leather with white stitching on the AT4X, and this is kind of, as I mentioned before, everything is just kind of standard in this truck. And heated steering wheel, heated seats, ventilated seats, and plenty of other features. So this one has the head-up display as well, which may or may not show up. A lot of times the frame light will make it look like it's flashing. And let me up the brightness and see if it shows up. But anyway, you can see about right in here the head-up display there. And all that, again, just standard features on this thing: adaptive cruise control, lane keep assist, all those kind of things. Plenty of stuff on that side. As far as the AT4X being different, you get two buttons here that are different from any of the other Silverados, and this one locks the rear axle only, and then once that goes solid, you can hit the other one and lock them both. I'm in four-wheel drive high right now, and it's not going to let me do it. So you have to be in four-wheel drive low to lock front and rear. You have to be in four-wheel drive high to lock just the rear. And anyway, that's what really sets this one apart, and it's nice to have that option. There aren't a lot of trucks out there with that option, especially in the full-size market. You have this and the Power Wagon, which the Power Wagon's considered an HD truck, whatever, so it's a little bigger than this even. And things like your Raptor and your TRX, they don't have the front locker. They do a little better at high-speed desert off-road stuff, but this one's a little more narrow. It'll do a little better in the mountains and forest roads and stuff like that. They're going to be a little bit tighter. It's still a big truck. It's very big, very wide, don't get me wrong, but having that front locker, and instead of having the extended width, you get a standard width, and it'll be a little better for a lot of people in those situations. Of course, on the screens, there's just so much stuff you can do. So here you've got all sorts of camera views. You got the surround view that you can turn on and off in case. So if you need more detail, turn it off and you can see a lot better. You can see in front and you can see in behind. You can turn off the lines entirely, however you want to set it up. And then here, this is pointing at the rear wheels and that's pointing at the front wheels. So you can really have a good view of everything that's going on with the truck, and again here in front and the back as well. So it gives you, when you're off-roading, it gives you a pretty good view. The problem with these cameras, and I've said this with all of them, is the depth perception. So you can see this rock right here. Is that a big boulder? Is that a tiny pebble? You know, how high is it sticking up off the ground? You don't really know from the cameras, but at least you know where it is. So if you were paying attention and you saw it before you got to this position, you could see, oh, that's that big rock I need to avoid or put my tire on or whatever it is. And obviously that angle gives you a little better view of it. But so the cameras are really good on this. It doesn't do the invisible underneath like some of them, so you can see it shows the truck bed on here and stuff. Some of the other cameras will load it as you drive and show you what's underneath the vehicle, and this one doesn't do that, which is, like I said, it's just fine. You don't really need that feature. And then even while you're driving, you can pull this one up and look at your bed, so you can see if you have stuff falling out of your bed or what it's like there. And next to that camera is the camera for the rearview mirror, so you can see that this one is also a camera. You can flip it so it goes to the mirror or back to the camera, and yeah, that one's a good one, especially if you have a lot of people inside of the vehicle. And that camera's mounted on the top of the cab. So if you do have a ton of stuff in your bed, you could be blocking that view. But if you have a tonneau cover or whatever and keep things stored underneath, you're not going to have any issues with that view in most situations. Has a 10-speed automatic, and to control that, well, to shift, let's talk about that for a second. So this is a return to center shift. And to put it into park, you just hit the P there. But then to shift it, it has a button on this side, and you push it in, and you can go to reverse. And then to go to drive, you don't actually have to push that button once you're in reverse. You can just pull it down. And neutral, same thing. If you don't hit the button, you go to neutral. If you do hit the button, then you can go up to reverse. So I can't go to reverse unless I hit the button. So that way you're not accidentally shifting from drive into reverse. If you're driving down the road and your kid kicks that or whatever it may be, it's not going to destroy your transmission. And then if you want to do the manual shift mode, and it's not really a manual shift mode, it's the same as all the other Chevys, where it will lock you into gear. So if you set it to 6, it won't go above 6 gear, but it will go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and stop there. And like I said, it's a 10-speed, so you've got plenty of gear range to go through, and you can use these paddle shifters to adjust your whatever gear you want to be in. Yeah, that's about it. So this transfer case, we'll talk about this more in the off-road video, but this transfer case is the clutch-based one. So you do have a four-wheel drive auto, which is great for driving on the road and stuff. It'll automatically engage the front axle as needed, give you that extra traction when you need it, and then disengage and give you good fuel mileage when you don't. But the problem with that is it uses that clutch-based system through all of them. So if you're in four-wheel drive low, it's still going through those clutches, and you're putting a lot of torque through that. And if you're doing hard off-roading and stuff, you can have those clutches slip and overheat the transfer case. I did that on a Ram Rebel with a similar style transfer case, and it kicked it into two-wheel drive in the middle of a steep hill climb. I had to sit there and wait for it to cool off enough that I could use four-wheel drive and make the climb. And the same thing happens with the GM components as well. Once they overheat, it kicks it into two-wheel drive, and you just have to wait a while, which can be a pain if you're in a tight spot off-roading. One thing I failed to mention, up here we have the sunroof, and this one is just the single one. So I know, I'm not even sure on GMC, there's got to be an option. Other manufacturers of course have the panoramic that goes to the back. On the GMC here, you're just getting that one on the front, and of course you can open it whatever. With the snow outside, there's no reason to do that. It does have the power rear window as well, so you can hit the button here and it controls the rear window sliding open and closed, which is nice because these trucks are so big now. It used to be, even with a crew cab truck, you could just reach back there, but even me reaching as far as I can, I come up about 6 inches short behind to reach back and open the window. So I don't remember the underseat storage being this open on these, but it does have like a divider here, which I would like to see be removable or more easily removable. This one you can remove, but it does have the jack there. You got to take out a bunch of stuff to remove it. But it is nice and open, and the seats actually don't touch that. So if you have a big bulky item, you can actually slide it under there. In some cases, I have the recovery boards with me now, and they'll fit underneath there and with the seat fully down. And then standard, as you guys have seen before, we have the in the seat cubby for a little additional storage. I would put something that you need to get to but don't always need in there. So something like recovery gear, that's a good spot for it if it'll fit in there. Maybe a jump starter or something like that, because a lot of times it'll be maybe under here or somewhere else, and you'll pile all your gear in here and then you can't get to it. Having it be behind a seat that you can get to is often a nice easy way to get to things, of course. So it does have center armrest here with 2 cup holders. These are kind of the standard Chevy ones. They have these little bubble, whatever they are, knobs here, and they actually do a really good job. So it's very kind of a grippy rubber, and then those put pressure on the cups, and they actually do a pretty good job. I've never had issues with these. And then here we have heated seats for both the outboard seats on the rear, and then your 2 USB ports, which I failed to talk about in the front. We'll make sure to get footage of that, but there's a single wireless charging pad in the front, and then 2 USBs like this, a USB-C and a USB-A. And that's all there is for charging. So this truck, many trucks will have a lot more. They'll have the 110 volt outlet and stuff up here, but this one is not equipped with that. I bet that's an option because, as I mentioned, basically everything you see here is standard. This one doesn't have very many options in it. And as far as legroom and all that stuff, plenty of legroom. You know, it's the same as all the other trucks. The seats, I actually slid it back further than I would normally be sitting in when we were filming. But anyway, so there's plenty of room there. Even putting car seats in here, you can get around behind the car seats. You can fit 3 car seats, but there are no child seat anchors in this middle section. So if you have a child in a booster seat or something, that's better on this one. And then the anchors on the outside. And up top, it's easier to see on this side just because it has the yellow wrap on it still, but it has the car seat tethers there, and you actually loop it through those and connect here in the middle, which is this movable? Nope. But so there's anchors right here in the middle where you run your top tether to and hook onto these instead of having to drop down behind the seat. So here, when this is closed, you can't really see it, but open that up, and right here is the wireless charging. And you can put your phone there, obviously when the thing's closed, when the lid's closed, but that one, I actually like this pad quite a bit. I haven't had any issues with it. Losing my phone, you know, hard braking, because the slope's so high, it stays in there pretty good. And then of course accelerating, it's got the stop on the bottom. There are 2 more USBs here, which I didn't mention before, so it has the USB-C and USB-A there, and then there is the 110, 115, 120, whatever voltage that outlet is. And it doesn't say, I believe it's a 400 watt though. And then the rest of the cubby is just storage space with this additional little cubby there. I think it actually goes the other way. That you can have if you want that in there. And the other two that I mentioned were these two up here when we were in the back. So you have two more USBs there. And if you plug into these, it does go straight to Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, which you can see here are not lit up. And I'm not sure if they've done this yet. I believe, let's see if it says it on here. Yes, wireless Android Auto and wireless Apple CarPlay. So you can now connect Bluetooth connect via Bluetooth to the infotainment system, and it automatically will go to Android Auto or Apple CarPlay without having to be plugged in with a cable like you used to have to do. All right, Monroney here, the window sticker. Base price, well, first, 2023 GMC Sierra 1500 AT4X, desert sand metallic with the obsidian rush interior, 6.2 liter V8 and 10-speed auto. The base MSRP or standard price $77,500, and then the only options we have here are the rocker protection, and those were those side rails outside for $11.95, and then the paint, so the desert sand metallic for $4.95. And one that I've been seeing a lot lately is the credit here, $50 credit for not having the steering column lock. Makes it a little bit easier to steal, but yeah, still without the electronic keys, and it's going to be a pain. Anyway, so you can go get that retrofitted when GM's able to get those parts in. You just go to your dealer and they'll install that for free. We add in the destination charge of $17.95, brings the total to $80,935. So you can see everything that's in this truck, that's just how it comes. It comes equipped with all the luxury features you've seen here. And there are probably more options you can get, I'm sure there are, but at $80,000 you would expect it to be well equipped, and it really is. Fuel mileage is something we haven't talked about yet. The EPA estimates here are 17 highway, 14 city, and 15 combined, and they rank it pretty low overall for comparable vehicles. But I've actually, well, apart from sitting here during all the testing, I've actually been getting pretty good fuel mileage. So let me go to that page. So average is, next one down, 14, but I was, if I can get it there, average is 14 over 74 miles, 75 miles, but I was actually close to 19, which is better than even their highway rating until, you know, all this idling and sitting around. It does actually pretty good, but of course 6.2 liter V8, that's a big V8 engine, and it drinks fuel. And especially if you get on it, if you're doing 0 to 60 runs and whatever, it's going to go through the fuel pretty quick. Cruising on the freeway in this AT4X is very smooth, maybe a little too soft, but not a lot. I mean, compared to other trucks that are built more for towing, this one has a softer suspension, and so you do get a tiny bit of a floaty feeling, but that also means that going over expansion joints and bumps and whatever else, road imperfections, it just glides right over it for a super smooth ride. It's definitely not going to be high cornering ability and stuff like that compared to whatever sports cars and things. Well, I don't know. Anyways, it's not a sports car. It does lean a little bit in the corners, and the Multimatic shocks do a really good job actually of reducing that lean. It gives it a pretty good ride throughout the whole range. Ends up being a tiny bit stiff compared to things like the Tundra TRD Pro when you're off-road, but on-road it definitely has a better ride, and really quite an enjoyable truck to drive in most conditions. It has the four-wheel drive auto. It's about to start snowing here. It's been snowing the past few days, and don't have to worry about it at all. The traction's pretty amazing. Looks like they have actually got 4 plows set up in front of us. Yeah, so I don't know why they have the plows set up. It's not that snowy anyway. We're gonna have to slow down here in a second to get behind those, but you can see here on the head-up display, maybe, hopefully that comes through. It's probably flickering, but on this left side of the head-up display, it shows the vehicle in front of me is 2.1 seconds now in front of me. That's kind of a cool thing, depending on what speed you're going and whatever you want. You know, 3 seconds or more, especially freeway speeds.
but look how far that is. So it's hard in a lot of cases to do that because people will be pulling in front of you or whatever, but trying to get a 3-second gap on the freeway can be difficult, but depending on the weather, that's about the range you want, so you can have a good response time. And yeah, I think that's about all here on the freeway. The truck just does great. You can leave it in 4-wheel drive auto if you want, with that clutch-based transfer case, engaging and disengaging as needed. Those snow plows, I can now see them. So they've got 4 plows with the tow plow, which means the plows take up 2 lanes instead of 1, and then they have the one that sprays the brine or whatever it is onto the road to keep it from freezing. So anyway, they didn't slow us down too much. I'm surprised that they're going that fast. It's great to keep the roads clear, terrible to prevent your vehicle from rusting, especially that brine. It's just like a liquid rust agent that's being sprayed on the road. And there's the slowdown for them. All right, here we are on the S-curves, almost. There's no one in front of me, got someone behind me. We're gonna leave it in 2-wheel drive, and it's a little bit wet, so we're not gonna be able to get the full performance out of this, but these tires are actually pretty grippy in the wet. And you can see there is a little bit of body lean, but not as much as you get in some of the other off-roaders, especially, as I mentioned before, the TRD Pros. Oh, losing the back end on that one. It's just wet, and that section of asphalt, so this one you can kind of see is rough maybe, but that one back there is almost smooth, and it's very easy to slide on that one. Done it many times. And then same here, this one's very smooth, and if I get into it, it slides a little bit. So all right, there's at least 1 vehicle behind me, maybe 2. Let them get past. Well, maybe not. Let's see if we can get to the 0 to 60 first. And no, we can't. So we'll have to wait 1 minute for this car to get by. And we're gonna be in 4 auto right there, just because it is so slick out. So let's reset this 0 to 60 timer. Start, accelerate to begin. 3, 2, 1, go. And my phone is now in the back seat. Soaking up pretty good for how wet it is. Definitely past 60. Let's check it out. That's showing up there. 0 to 60 in 6.3 seconds in the wet and snowy weather. Yes, I had 4-wheel drive auto on, but that's pretty impressive.
Thank you for watching Engine Adventures review of this 2023 GMC Sierra AT4X with the 6.2 V8. Excellent vehicle all around. It can tow 8,700 pounds. It's pretty good ride on road. It leans a little bit in the corners, but it's not bad. And off-road, very, very capable. Front and rear locking discs. The only thing is really the breakover angle, as you can see how long this truck is when you're cresting a hill and stuff. You can hit an high center there on when other vehicles may not do that, just because it's so long. But overall, really a great vehicle. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to hit the subscribe button, ring the bell so you get notifications when we post new videos, and give me a thumbs up. Comment down below. Let me know what you want to see, what tests you want to see, what you don't want to see, if you want me to do something differently. Anyway, thanks again. Have a great day.